This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, here we go. So finally, we are here for today's session on AWS Machine Learning. So this session is going to be for 90 minutes. So I'm going to take a 90 minutes for walking you guys throughout entire AWS and machine learning concepts inside. We're going to have a lot of fun, okay? So I'm going to show a live demo on AWS machine learning. I mean, there are few AI services that we are interested for you, like to provide a demo on that. It's going to be really fun. And I'm going to also provide additional 15 minutes after the 90 minutes, and we can have a lot of discussion, obviously, right? So because I can see wide varieties of audience registered our webinar. I mean, I can see like people's are working professionals who is already working on machine learning and who want to get started with AWS and understand AWS. And there are beginners also who want to get started with machine learning and AWS too, okay? So this webinar is for even for the beginners, intermediates, and even for the experts, like who want to know how to deploy your machine learning model in a production ready environment. So you want to also know such concepts. So this can be a perfect webinar. So let us get started without wasting much of time. And yes, you can see the banner that I have displayed here, obviously, everyone. So complete the session and download the 3 must-have machine learning ebooks for free. Okay, that's it. So I mean, so everyone like who going to stick till end of this webinar, they can able to download the free ebooks. I will share the link in the description, I mean in the chat window later in the session. So then we
Hello.
can so you can able to download those ebooks, okay? So people who are joining the session, so make sure you mute the mic. Maybe we should not disturb others. And even if you have any questions, okay, so obviously I mean just hold on. Like I once after completing the session, I'm going to spend a lot of time with you guys to answer all your questions. No worries about that one, okay? So let us get started on today's webinar on AWS machine learning. Okay, so let us get started. So before we getting started, a small introduction about myself and what exactly we do. So my name is Sarath Kumar. I am from I work for Citron Technologies. I mean, obviously, yeah, founder and CEO. So what exactly we do in Citron Technologies? Like a lot of people who are attending a session may be imagining, okay, we are a training institute. So no, actually, we are not a training institute. First of all, we are a product-based company. So especially we work on very crazy technologies, obviously, machine learning, AI, and IoT, all the stuff. So basically, we serve manufacturing industries and other industries who need some help, let's say migrating to AWS or maybe some solutions on IoT and AI, all the stuff. So basically, we are a product-based company, and that adds more advantage for us to take this webinar because I can deliver few aspects and I can mention the few things, especially when I worked with many clients. So yeah, that's it. So that's all about it. So personally, I have done more than 60 plus webinars and 40 plus workshops and courses. So when I tell workshops, it's a complete hands-on workshops, and when I tell the courses, it's a complete hands-on courses. And personally, I've trained more than 50,000 plus peoples. So what kind of a peoples? Obviously, a lot of working professionals, students, and we can go on. Yes. So yep, this is a simple introduction about me. So we are from Citron Technologies. You can Google it. You'll get some more idea about us. Okay. So before we getting started, okay, so let me set up my mind accordingly. Okay. So first, let us have a quick validation. So please confirm if my voice is clear and if my screen is visible for you guys. You can just tell me S in a chat window. That will be a quick validation. So then we can get started. Okay, lot of S's coming on. Thank you everyone for you to I mean thank you everyone obviously messaging. Yes, okay, so that's awesome. Okay, so okay, so now so I would like to ask some few questions over here. So before making sure one more aspect here. Okay, so in case, okay, okay, so this is for the people, let's say in case if you are a beginner, okay, in case if you are a beginner to machine learning or maybe to AWS machine learning, whatever it is, you can just tell me I'm a beginner. You can just tell B, or you can just type beginner completely. It's completely okay. Let me understand how many people are beginners over here. And in case if you are okay, so we are getting, yep, a lot of beginners. That's good. So I will make sure, okay, I will serve everyone over here to make sure what is exactly this AWS machine learning is and the benefits out of it. Okay, thank you everyone. I guess a lot of beginners. Awesome. So now let us have one more question again. So let's say if you have expertise here, if you're not a beginner, let's say you have some experience, you're working on data scientist, you can just say, okay, so I have some expertise. You can just say E, or maybe like mediator, something like that. Yes, go ahead. So if you are a Okay, yeah, you can just say E, something like that. Yeah, if you are you have some expertise, you can just type E, experience. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. Awesome. So a lot of M's also coming, mediator. That's good. Awesome. That's good. So we have all the kind of audience. Let me make sure I deliver the things properly. Okay. So I'm going to make the things very look simple. Okay. And my explanations always look simple. And here we go. Let's get started. So what is the highlights of this webinar? What exactly we're going to do in this 90 minutes? So the four things. Okay. So one is we're going to talk about the impact of AI and ML, and then the second, the number two, we're going to discuss about AWS ML stack. So what is AWS and what AWS offers in terms of obviously machine learning, and we're going to see the job opportunities, basically the job market, how it looks in terms of AWS machine learning, and obviously the fun thing which is on the fourth part. Obviously everyone is might be like eagerly waiting for that, right? So live demo. Okay, so make sure you stick throughout the webinar so you can able to enjoy the demo. Okay, so don't leave in between the meetings, so then you cannot join obviously once we have this threshold reach. Okay, so let us get started. So let us get started with discussing about impact of AI and ML. So obviously when we are talking about impacts of AI and ML, let's go with simple use cases where we can understand where we are standing in 2022 today, right? So let us have some discussion on a few use cases that is around us. Okay, so and one more thing that we need to realize, okay, so everyone talks about ML and AI, right? People talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, everyone talks, it's a buzzword, and again it tells, okay, that's a future, right? So if you think that's a future, the future is not, let's say, next 5 years or next 2 years, something. The future is already there. I mean, so machine learning is not, you cannot just call it as a future, but future is already there. That means we are already using, we are already part of machine learning. I mean, there are multiple use cases in around us where we are using machine learning services. For example, let's take our smartphone as a good example. So like smartphone, every latest smartphones has face recognition cameras in it. I mean, if you bring your front facing camera, it can able to unlock your phone, right? So what is that? What do you think, right? It's just not a piece of code. Basically, it is a tiny machine learning model. Basically, it's recognizing your face, analyzing a pattern, and it's making unlocking your face, right? That's crazy, right? That's awesome. So, and one more thing, like you might also heard about the crazy deep learning devices in a technical terms, what they used to call, but you heard about something called Amazon Alexa, what Amazon keeps on advertising in ads, right? Buy Amazon Alexa device. Hey Alexa, can you sing some songs? Hey Alexa, can you purchase some items in Amazon? Like, right? You have heard about it. Alternative to that, you have Apple as a Siri, and obviously Google Home, right? So everyone has heard about it. These are deep learning technologies. Basically, it recognizes a voice and gets whatever you want, right? So that's a quick validation saying that we are in a future. So in case if you're not thinking about machine learning, maybe yeah, this is the right time to get started. That's why you are in this webinar, right? So considering those use cases, we can keep on discussing a lot of aspects in terms of use cases here. Let's say sentiment analysis as part of NLP, natural language processing. So what is the sentiment analysis? So everyone here, let's say, like I mean, so majority of people who have bought something from an Amazon, right? So people buy usually things from an Amazon. So what do we do? Like, what is the process over there? Let's say you are buying some electronic gadget from an Amazon, right? So what do you do once after buying it? If you really like the product, the features, all the stuff, so you will be really impressed and you will be giving a positive feedback, right? You will be giving a review. You will be rating the product, saying that, okay, I am really loving this product. I will recommend all my friends to family, something like that, right? So you give one positive review. And let's say a bad vendor sells that same electronic gadget and you're not convinced, like features are not as it is promised in a website. What do? Right? Obviously, we give a negative feedback, right? Like to the right and left, we give a lot of negative feedback saying that this guy is a worst. I won't recommend this product to any of my friends, right? So that's a negative feedback. So let's say I'm just talking about the one single electronic gadget. Just imagine like there are millions of items in Amazon that you can buy. So, and millions of customers, they review the products in Amazon. So what do you think like Amazon is doing with that huge amount of data? Obviously, they are utilizing such kind of data, and they're performing a machine learning to understand who is the best vendors. I mean, what are the best vendors are there in Amazon who is having a right reputation, obviously based on the reviews, basically. So this helps Amazon to streamline, I mean, to make it optimize their platform to provide a quality product, right? So this is again the use case. You can this is how it works, right? So we can keep on discussing a lot of use cases. It may be text classification use cases, chatbots. Obviously, who loves chatbots? Everywhere now there is a chatbots, right? So let's say if you're going some any e-commerce website or maybe any support, let's say you have some issues with your software, you raise some ticket, right? Basically, you go for a support, right? So let's say everywhere in a website right now there is a chat bot sitting next to you and answering your questions. So there's no more human beings answering your questions. Basically, the chatbots basically replaying to your messages, right? So just check it out. Like go to any e-commerce website, you will find a chatbots over there, right? So chatbots again a great example, which is ruling the digital market, and we can mention a lot of things. Medical industries uses chatbots, and goes on. So named entity recognitions are, let's say, when it comes to like computer vision based activities. What is computer vision again? So anything that you want to do with images and videos. Self-driving cars, right? Who loves self-driving cars? Obviously everyone wants to buy a self-driving car for one good reason. For me it might be like maybe every day if I want to go for an office, I just want to sleep when during the travel, right? You might have seen this, people's already doing this, right? So if you see like the people who have the self-driving cars, like, especially if you see in US, basically when they, yes, exactly, Tesla, right? So Lakshmi is just selling Tesla. Tesla is again a great company. It was a best example for self-driving cars. And you can see like crazy videos when people are going to their offices, they literally have a nap, right? Literally have a nap. So like obviously like I want a self-driving car to do that, right? So again, so enjoying the technology is something else, and again implementing, learning that is going to be awesome, right? So that's what exactly what we are doing in this webinar. So robotic use cases, anything else, or maybe the use cases in a retail market. Let's say you are going for a very famous brand showroom for buying some collections, I mean buying some cloths, right? So let's say they have some cameras around their the shop. Basically it's monitoring your face, I mean whether you are really feeling happy when you're like having a trial of their clothes. I mean basically you are, when you're wearing that cloth, so whether you are feeling happy or anger, sad, something like that, right? So we can keep on mention a lot of use cases. Agriculture has a lot of use cases, like detecting the pests on a leaf, detecting the diseases. We can mention automotive industries, analyzing a traffic, basically, right? You can see like Google is a good example, Google Maps, right? Whenever you're going for your office, our Google Maps are the best friend. Basically, it will help you to avoid some quick traffic. I mean, the quick traffic jams, right? Basically, it gives a direction, the shortcut, like where you can go to avoid a traffic. So I can mention lot of things here. See, the point here in this particular slide, the use cases of ML and AI exist everywhere. Let's say starting from agriculture industry to space industry, the use case of ML and AI exists everywhere. Okay. So now let us go to this particular picture. Okay. So what is this picture is related to machine learning. Okay. So let me give 5 seconds, just observe this particular picture. Then I will ask some few questions. Okay. Go ahead. Like just observe this picture. That's it. Okay, tick tick one, tick tick two, tick tick three, tick tick four, tick tick five. Okay, that's good. So obviously there is nothing much that you can able to observe here, but you know what is this picture is, right? So what do you think this picture is about? What do you think this picture is about? Obviously you can see a lot of items in this, right? So you can see there's a picture of a park. Yes, Aditi said it's a picture of a park. That's awesome. And what else that you can see in this particular picture? I mean, you can see a lot of peoples, right? Different age groups of peoples. I can see a woman, and I can see one more woman. I can see a man, and I can see a dog, and I can see a dog that is carrying a ball in his mouth. And I can see different breeds of dog, and I can see a path where I can walk. I can see a trees, blah 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 blah. Right. So now my question is, how do you know this is a picture of a park? How do you know this is a picture of a dog? How do you know that? How do you know this is a picture of a dog, and how do you know this is a picture of a man? How do you differentiate this is a woman and this is a man, right? That might be a funny question, right? But so like this might be some funny question, but you might ask, Sharath, what are you talking about? I know this is a picture of a park. I don't know I know this is a picture of a dog, right? So them something that I've learned from my a child age, right? So just imagine the machine learning is very simple. Let's say something like this, right? So let's talk about the growth cycle of a human being over here, right? Let's say a newborn baby, right? A newborn baby, he or she might be less than 1 year old. What do you think a newborn baby knows, right? So barely she can able to recognize his mother and father, obviously, but other than that, a baby doesn't know how to walk, how to talk, how to differentiate the items, right? We come with an empty, I mean we come with an empty brain. I mean we don't have any data as of right now feed in inside, right? So what happens, like, so when the baby grows, let's say when a baby goes to the babysitting school, or maybe any kind of a school, so now the person, I mean now the person starts learning, observing the things, right? We learn in many different ways. We consume our data in many different ways, right? We consume our data as an audio, visuals, right? Sense, right? right? A lot of things we learn from our parents, we learn from our books, teachers, blah blah blah, right? So if you're putting this entire human growth cycle as a graph, let's say our knowledge exponentially grows up, right? So then you might go to your primary school, you will start learning different languages, science, physics, right? So mathematics, lot of things, right? So and then obviously you'll go for a job, then you become a senior citizen, right? And finally we expire. Okay, that's not a talk for today, but anyway, so the idea here is, so we keep on learning a data, right? So that's a concept. So then once we learn the data, and we can take a respective action accordingly, right? So let's say you're learning how to drive your a two-wheeler, four-wheeler, then obviously after learning it, you can individually drive anywhere, right? It maybe if you want to drive in hills, if you want to drive in urban area, or maybe like in a rural area, you have a knowledge to predict and do the things, right? That's how exactly the machine learning is. So let me try to explain it in a very simplest form, in a layman's terms, right? So whatever we have learned, right, whatever we are learned, so we are trying to teach the same exact data to this dumb machines, obviously. So it may be any high-end server that you have in your own on-premises, maybe the server on a cloud, or maybe your own personal computer, or maybe like edge devices like Raspberry Pi, right? So that's a game. That's a game that we are trying to play here. So let me try to put up a simple use case where we can try to understand this concept very easily. Let's say we have some document. Let's say we have a CSV file, okay, .csv file, right? So let's say we have some kind of a data in it. So let's imagine you collected, let's say you put up a lot of sensors in your home, you collected electricity data from your home, right? So let's say you are collecting how much electricity does your washing machine consumes, how much electricity does your water geyser consumes, any electronic appliances. Let's say I have collected all this data. Let's say I have 3 years worth data, and have, let's say, around 30,000 data points, right? So I have around 30,000 data points. So I have almost 3 years of data, and I have 30,000 data points, right? So the aim is, I want this data to be I just want to taught this data to this particular Raspberry Pi machine, maybe any kind of a machine that you have. So this machine is going to learn the data. And once the machine has learned the data, I'm going to ask this machine to make a forecasting. So what do you mean by forecasting? I'm going to ask this machine to forecast for the next 6 months, what would be my electricity bill, right? So just imagine this particular use case in your own offices, corporate offices, maybe in your homes itself. So if you know what is going to be your electricity bill for the next 6 months or 3 months, you can plan accordingly, basically to save some money, to switch off unnecessary lights, all those stuff. The aim is, so we take a data and we teach to that machine, then we ask that machine to make a predictions, right? So that's exactly what exactly the machine learning is. Otherwise, let's say instead of we teaching a CSV file, right? CSV is again a table or data. Instead of that, let's say I want to work on a computer vision. Let's say I have a picture of all my pet animals. Let's say this is a picture of a cat. Let's say I'm going to teach all the different varieties of pet animals that we have. Let's say it may be a dog, it may be a cat, it may be a cow, it may be a lion. Okay, sorry, lion is not a pet animal, right? Okay, let's say we teach all the different kinds of pet animals, and then I'm going to ask my machine to predict. Let's say I have a camera over here. Okay, so and I have some kind of a pet animal in front of it. Let's say this might be a cat. Then I'm going to ask this machine, say, what is the animal that you are seeing in front of your camera? So then a Raspberry Pi might say it's a cat, it might be a dog, right? Something like that. So this is what exactly the game that we are trying to play. So technically, what is exactly the definition of machine learning, right? So the machine learning is nothing but the study of an algorithm and a mathematical model that computer system uses to progressively improve the performance of a specific task, right? It might be looking complex, right? So in another way, machine learning is all about teaching a complex mathematical models to your machine. So once your machine understands those complex mathematical models, then we can ask this machine to make some futuristic predictions, what may happen in the future, for example, right? So that's the thing. So now, so let us try to install. Okay, let's try to install a simple template in your brain. Okay, so just try to understand this template. Okay, just to stick to this particular template. If you are a beginner, if you're an expert, anywhere, anyone. So this is the a typical workflow of this is the end-to-end typical workflow of any machine learning model, right? So the goal is, let's say the aim is to teach some kind of a data to a machine, then we might ask some predictions, right? So let's say data can come in a many different forms, right? So data can be coming in a CSV file, as we are talking about. It may be a picture like a PNG or maybe JPEG, or maybe it can come as a JSON document. It may be a text file, right? So the step one, we collect this data, then we do some preparation that is called data preparation. I mean, what do? We put up a lot of masalas, we put up a lot of ingredients, we start preparing exactly like that. So what we do is basically we prepare a data. Basically, let's say real-time data comes with a lot of garbages in it. I mean, a lot of noise in it. You might have some unnecessary data, you might have some missing data even, right? Something like that. So basically we need to deal with that. So that's a first thing. And then what we do, we use some kind of an IDEs. Let's say it may be a Jupyter notebooks. It's a web-based IDE. Otherwise, you might have heard about any different IDEs, like maybe a VS Code. So that's what we do over there. Obviously, we write some code, obviously, right? So we write some code. So once we write the code, then this process is we take the data and we teach the data to the machine. Basically, train and test your model. Basically, we train a machine learning machine. Basically, it's going to output a machine learning model. So let's say once your machine has learned all the data, it produces something called a model. Okay. So what we do then, so we take this model and finally we deploy that model in a production ready environment. So that's how it works. So where do we deploy for a production ready environment? So am I going to use your on premises, or it can be your edge, it can be your cloud, for example. Let's say we are talking about AWS. Let's say we can use AWS basically to deploy your machine learning model in a production ready environment. So for example, there is something called a SageMaker, very powerful service in AWS, obviously. So we're going to use SageMaker basically to deploy a machine learning model in a production ready environment. Otherwise, for a few use cases, you might want to deploy your machine learning models on an edge, basically, right? So once you have deployed a machine learning model, let's say we use some kind of we create something called as REST APIs. Basically, we use this REST APIs basically to create a front-end applications. So this is where your developers comes into the picture. They use this REST APIs basically to create a front-end application where your users can able to interact with that. So that's it, as simple as that, right? It's not even complex, right? So, and let's talk about something. Okay, so we talked about writing a code, right? So I mean, is that mandate in order to become a machine learning expert to learn a programming? So obviously there are, let's say, a lot of different options. So even you can able to train a machine without writing any line of a code. For example, SageMaker has bought new services where you, without writing any line of a code, you can able to train a machine learning model, you can able to deploy it. Obviously there are a lot of platforms which is available. But let's say if you want to become an expert tomorrow, where you want to do a lot of customization things, like some expert level doing things, you need to know the programming. Obviously it's good to know and good to learn a programming and to get started. So what is the best programming language that we can use to get started with the machine learning? Obviously you can go get started with Python. Using Python is very simple, and again there's a lot of documentation support to get started. And again, usually Python has different use cases. I mean, a lot of companies run their production system on Python, obviously. And still you can also go with the R is again famous. And even you don't believe, you can also use JavaScript, C++, Go, and Java even, basically to work on machine learning. Obviously now the libraries, a lot of libraries are being developed to support all the different kind of languages. As simple as that now, right? So now let's talk about data, right? So where do we get started always, right? When it comes to a machine learning, when it comes to a human being, first of all, when it comes to me, if I know the concepts of machine learning, if I have a data in my brain, then only I can able to conduct this webinar, right? So it's all about data, right? So first we will talk about the datas, okay, in a machine learning. So what are the different kinds of varieties of datas that are available? So let's say we can put it in a three types. One is numerical, categorical, and ordinal. So basically your data might revolve around all these three kinds of data types. So what is numerical data anyway? So we know what is numerical, numbers obviously, but what is exactly numerical? So numerical data represents some quantitative measurements. It has something that you can able to measure it by using a scale. For example, height of a person, right? Height of a people, you can measure the exact height of a people. Or maybe like a page load time. For example, let's say you're going for an e-commerce website, you're trying to buy something, what is the amount of time it takes to load a page, right? So or maybe a stock price of any stock values that you're talking about. So let's say further, numerical can be categorized into two things. One is called discrete data, another is continuous data. So what is discrete data? Obviously, as a name represents a discrete. So let's say, so discrete has some discrete way of representations. For example, it is not infinite. For example, how many purchases did a customer makes in a year? Let's say you are an Amazon user. Let's say you're buying a lot of products in an Amazon. Let's say last year I can say, okay, you have bought maybe 50 products from an Amazon or maybe 30 products from an Amazon, right? I cannot say you made 30.5 purchases, 50.5 purchases. It doesn't make sense, right? So that's exactly the discrete is. Maybe otherwise, how many times did I flip? I mean, when I flip the coin, how many times I got heads, how many times I got tails, right? So those are discrete. And wherein we have something called continuous data, where it has infinite number of possibilities. For example, can you say exactly how much time, let's say last time when you're buying a product from Amazon, how much time did it took for you to check out the product? You cannot say exactly, because if you take a time, milliseconds, again microseconds, if you go on, so you cannot even predict that. Prediction itself is hard. You might have taken 5 minutes to check out the product. You might take 2 days, 3 days, even a years, basically to check out the product from an Amazon. So it has an infinite number of possibilities. Otherwise, let's say how much rain fall on a given day. So again, the density of a rain varies in many different places. It's hard to predict. So this is again what is numerical data is. And let's talk about something called categorical. As the name represents a category, it has a category. So what do you mean by categorical data? So anyway, let's say quantity, I mean, so categorical data doesn't have any mathematical meaning at the end of the day. Let's say, for example, do you think gender has any mathematical meaning, male, female, or maybe transgender? I mean, I don't think so. Like, there is no mathematical meaning in that. Otherwise, let's say we talk about binary, yes or no. Otherwise, let's say we talk about the race, state of residence, product category. For example, let's talk about an Apple. Apple has wide varieties of product categories. Maybe they have an Apple iPhone. They might have different varieties of Apple iPhone, MacBooks, and like Apple watches. Like, do you think is there any mathematical meaning? No, that's it. That's what exactly the categorical data is. So then we have something called ordinal data. So it's again a mixture of, we take numerical and we take categorical, and on the other hand we mix it both together. That's what exactly the ordinal data is. So here, when it comes to categorical, it has some mathematical meaning, like looks like a magic, right? But let me put up some good example. Let's say after completing this webinar, everyone goes to the movie, right? A latest movie which is available, right? Like after watching a movie, let's say, so we rate a movie. If everyone likes the movie, we rate it 5, right? So we give a 5 star, okay? And if everyone doesn't like, obviously, if I didn't like the movie, obviously I give a single star, right? So here we have some mathematical meaning when it comes to the category over here. That's how the things work. So this is the 3 different kinds of data types. Usually, whatever the data that you're taking, it must revolve around this kind of a data. So that's good. Okay, then what else that you need to know if you want to become an expert in machine learning? So we know we need to understand the data, and one more thing, you need to understand a few concepts of statistics and probability. So it smells like something that we have learned in our school education, right? Statistics, probability, all this stuff, right? Yes, statistics and probability is something that we have learned in our school education, but again, that's a basics, obviously. So I will just touch upon the few aspects over here, and then we will move forward. So for example, there is something called a mean. You know what is mean is? Nothing but it's an average, right? So let's say you have a given sample. Let's say here we have a sample. For example, what is the sample? Let's say in your street, let's say you might have a couple of homes. So in each and every house, what is the number of childrens they have? I mean, number of children in each household in your street. So let's say the house number 1, they have only 0 children. House number 2, they might have just 2. House number 3, they have 3, something like this, right? So how do we take an average? We know this, right? That's something that every 5th grade student can able to say. Like, we add every samples and we divided that by total number of samples, then we get a mean 1.22. So if this concept might be looking very simple, but this mean that we are talking about is very useful when it comes to let's say preparing your data. Whenever you have some garbages, missing data, you can able to use mean, right? I will tell you how. So then we have something called median. What do you mean by median here? So median is nothing but we will take the same sample values, like number of children's in your street. So in every house, let's say we sort this data, something like this. Once we sort these values, let's say all the zeros comes here, then 1 here, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, right? Then we find a middle value. So that is nothing but median, middle value. That's how it works, right? So then we have something called median, for example. I mean, so when it comes to the median, let's say you have instead of having a 1 number over here, let's say you have 2 numbers, right? Let's say I have one more 1 here. How do we deal with this? So let's say we add these 2 ones, and again we take an average for that. Then we get again the median of that one. Obviously, that's how it works. So then we have something called mode. We understand what is mean, median, and what is this mode is basically. So mode is all about the common values in your data set, the common repeatable values. So if you say, we will take the same example, the kids in each houses in your street. So what do you think the most common repeated value? I can see 0, 0, 0, 0. It repeats 4 times, and 1 repeats 1 time, 2 repeats 2 times, right? So here I have a defined values. 0 repeats 4 times. I mean, this is the highest repeatable value. That means your mode is 0, right? So we use this mean, median, and mode concepts basically when it comes to data preparation, obviously. And then we talk about something called standard deviation and variance. So again, standard deviation and variance is something that we have learned in our school education, basically, right? We have some samples, we calculate standard deviation and variance. So what is this exactly, standard deviation and variance? So variance, or maybe a standard deviation, is all about reading the spread of a data, or maybe understanding how the data distribution is over here. So let us try to understand this concept in a very simplest definition over here. Okay, let's say here we have a simple graph. Let's say we're talking about the aircrafts which is arriving to the airport, right? So we have a aircrafts arriving to the airports. So let's say we have an x-axis arrival per minute and y-axis frequency in day, right? So here we have total number of, let's say, the aircrafts arrival per minute. So let's talk about let's try to understand this data. Okay, so let's say the highest number, what it says, this is the 12, right? So the 12, I mean the 12 aircrafts arrival per minute, we can see the frequency is like once in every 12 days. That might be the rare case scenario, obviously, right? So this is a rare case scenario. So, and if we talk about, let's say, okay, the minimum value, we can say 1 aircraft arrival per minute. So we can say somehow every 1 day. Obviously, that's a very common thing, like 1 aircraft arrival per minute. And so we can see many different possibilities over here. 9 aircrafts arrival per minute, around once in every 9 days. So this is how you can able to understand the data over here, basically, right? So, and let's say, like, what is this, and what is the kind of a graph that I plotted is called histogram. And again, data visualization is very important. We will also talk about that one in upcoming slides. So let's try to calculate this standard deviation and variance in a simplest form, and we will try to understand. So Aditya asked a question. I thought this session is all about AWS. Obviously, this session is about AWS. I cannot just jump into AWS and just show what is machine learning without you knowing a machine learning. So the definition is very simple. We have a lot of beginners, right? I need to serve these beginners, obviously, because I can see a lot of beginners here. Okay, so just wait for a few minutes. Obviously, I don't want to jump into AWS definitions, right, before giving some basics on that, right? Okay, so now let's talk about how we can able to calculate a variance over here. So variance can be represented as a sigma square. Basically, it's all about reading a spread out of the data over here. So let's say we take again a simple sample here. Okay, so we have a sample over here. So let's say 1, 4, 5, 4, 8, basically, right? So first, the step number one, we calculate a mean for it. So how do we calculate a mean? Obviously, we add all the values divided by 5. That is 4.4. That's how it works. We know how to calculate a mean. So then we find something called difference from the mean. So how do we find the difference from the mean? So we take our sample and minus that by the mean that we have received. Let's say 1 minus 4.4. 4 minus 4.4, right? So then we get a difference from the mean. And how do we, then we will find something called square difference. Basically, we square all the differences from the mean, then we get square difference, right? So now we will take an average. Basically, we calculate a mean for that squared difference. And here we go, the 5.04, that is nothing but sigma square, the variance. Okay, so now we have find the variance for the particular data points that we have got, that is 1 comma 4 comma 5 comma 4 comma 8. So then now we will find a standard deviation, that is nothing but sigma, right? So basically it's nothing but the square root of variance. So we have sigma square 5.04. If we take a square root for that, we receive 2.24. So that is nothing but the standard deviation. So what is the standard deviation variance, how it is helping in terms of understanding a data? So we're talking about, okay, let's say you have a business use case, you have a data, but your data, a real-time data, comes with a lot of problems in it. You might have a lot of missing values, you might have some outliers. So outliers, again, this is something like unwanted data that you have in your entire data set. So what do you mean by unwanted value? So let's say, for example, let's say I have an e-commerce website, for example, a lot of people visiting my e-commerce website, and let's say there's an anomaly that mentions saying that there's a one person logged in for 1,000 times and he has logged out 1,000 times. So it's literally not possible. A person cannot log in and log out 1,000 times. Basically, who can able to do that? So that's a software bug, right? That's a software bug, right? So that can be an outlier. So basically, how can we understand this outlier? So basically, let's say we can able to use the standard deviation and variance also to figure out an outlier. So here you can see, here we have our sample. I'm just plotted this over here as a histogram. You can see it come out as a histogram. So we have a standard deviation that is 2.24. So any value that is lying away from that standard deviation, we can consider. So that is an outlier, right? For example, we'll consider one standard deviation. Let's say, so from the center, let's say the data points that is lying away from one standard deviation. Let's say we have 5, that's okay, but you can see the number 8, number 1 is lying away from one standard deviation. Let's say here we have, for example, one standard deviation. If you separate here, -1 standard deviation, -2, and here comes 2, right? So basically, let's say if any data points that is lying away from that standard deviation, that comes an outlier. That's a easy way to figure out. There are multiple aspects in it that we can still discuss on that. Okay, so this is the something that we need to touch upon, the statistics and probability, and then we need to be aware about something called data engineering. So what do you mean by data engineering? Okay, so data engineering, again, putting some engineering on your data. So again, it's all about the data, the problems in your data. For example, we do something called train test methodology when it comes to training your machine learning models over here. So what do you mean by train test methodology? So let's say we are talking about, so the idea is very simple. So we want to train a machine. Let's say we have this machine, we have this data, we take this data, we teach this data to this particular machine, then we ask this machine to make some futuristic predictions, right? So it won't happen like that. Basically, let's say we have our data, let's say we have our CSV file, right? So this CSV file has some 3 years data, 30,000 data points. So the goal is to teach this data to our machine, then to ask to make a prediction, but it won't work like this. So the idea is, what is this train test methodology? It's a concept where we split this data into 2 types. One is called training data and one is called test data. So let's say it's a ratio. For example, we can split our training data, let's say 70 30 ratio, or maybe 80 20 ratio. So that means I keep 70% of data to training and I keep remaining 30% of data for testing. So what happens, my machine will be trained for 70% of data. So my machine understands every different patterns in that 70% of data, right? But my machine has no idea what is there in a test data set, obviously. So what happens, once my machine is trained enough, then we take our test data set and we ask our machine to make a predictions based on the test data that we have. So if your machine is going to perform really well, and if you're really satisfied with the results, so then we can able to think about going further and deployment for the production ready environment, right? So that's how the things work. So that's a one thing that we need to be aware about, basically how we train our data. And then we have some few problems in something called overfitting. So your models will become overfitted sometimes. So what do you mean by overfitting is nothing but, let's say, when it comes to production analytics, the data that you have that is corresponds too closely. What do you mean by that? It's nothing but, let's say if you're considering this beautiful black line and you have a lot of different data points, and you can see there is no additional space where we can fit some additional data, right? So that means your model can be overfitted at the end of the day. So that's a one problem. And one more aspect that we need to understand, a few things, something called normalizing your numerical data. Let's say, especially when you're working on numerical data, when your CSV file has some, let's say, for example, your data set has numerical columns, for example, right? So what happens, we do something called normalization. It sometimes really works good. It's better if you go do normalization. Okay, what is this normalization anyway? Let's say I have 2 columns in my data sets. Let's say I have an age of a person and I have a salary of a person. Let's say age of a person might vary from 1 to 100, and the salary of a person might vary from $1 to maybe like $1 billion, for example, right? So it can go to $1 billion, and the scale of values are really huge here, right? 1 to 100 is very small, and the billion is really huge, right? So what do we do here in normalization? Basically, we scale down these values to fit in some values. Let's say I scale down this both the columns, let's say for example between 0 to 1, for example. So I compress all these values between 0 to 1. So what is the advantage of scaling these values between 0 to 1? So it's ease of your machine to understand the values, right? Instead of understanding the huge range of values, we just compress the values. Let's say if you have a data point, say 0.0001, maybe the guy might be 20 years old, something like this, right? So we compress the values. That's again a quick way of, I mean, the easy way of training a machine learning model by normalizing your data. And we talked about a lot of things about data preparation. It's again a part of cleaning your data. So I mean, what do you mean by cleaning your data? Obviously we're going to take some sanitizers and some surf basically to try and clean your data. It's not like that, but something related to that. Let's say you can see here I have some tabular data, but you can see there are some few missing values in this particular column where you can see NaN, right? So basically it's really important. You should not have those missing values. So basically you need to figure out a way to overcome that missing values. So obviously one is you can able to use this mean, the concept of mean that we're talking about. Let's say I take an average of remaining values that I have in this column, then I replace that value in a missing path. Okay, you can see I have replaced the mean of that value over there. That's a one way of doing it. So there are multiple cleaning techniques that we can still discuss. This is a one simple process basically. So we understand something about data engineering right now, right? So then we have something called data analysis. What do you mean by data analysis? So visualizing your data is very important to understand what's really going on in that data. So visualization, you need to understand different visualization tools that are available, which provides different insights about your data. For example, we talked about histogram, where you can able to understand the how the data is distributed, right? The spread of a data. And the very powerful tool you might have heard about, box and whisker plots, which is a great tool to identify outliers, right? So I can use standard deviation, I calculate standard deviation variance, then I figure out where is my outlier. Instead of that, you bring the data, put it in a like a box and whisker plots, it can able to tell where is exactly your outlier basically, right? So there are different visualization tools that you need to really understand which kind of a tool that you need to use in what kind of a situation, right? So again, yeah. So, and we talked about many different aspects, and we should not never move on to talking about AWS without discussing about something called deep learning, right? So whenever the concept of deep learning comes into the picture, you might have heard about some kind of weird pictures like this, which is displayed in the internet, right? So it's not a weird picture. If you see, we are actually part of it. Yep, I will tell you how. So what is this deep learning anyway? So deep learning is again a concept inspired from our biological body. I mean, what do you mean by that? Biological inspiration. So obviously we have a brain, right? So there's no doubt about it. We have a brain. So so what is this neurons? You might have heard about neurons in your brain. Basically, neurons are some kind of a biological component which is located in our brain, which is responsible for carrying an electrical signal, right? So let's say we talk about cerebral part of our brain, cerebral cortex of our brain. Let's say we have something called axons, basically, which helps to connect different neurons. So we have a network of neurons in our brain. That's why it is called neural network. So each and every neuron fires a electrical signal, right? Say if you have one neuron which sends the electrical signal to another neuron. So if this neuron has enough electrical signal, this passes this electrical signal to the upcoming neuron in the network. So this is how the informations are being exchanged in our human brain. So if you see the billions of neurons which are available in your brain and connected together, which forms a network, right? So as simple as that. So what we have done when it comes to artificial neural network, otherwise the concept of deep learning, we just copied the concept and we have improvised it. So in a deep learning concept, again, we have something called neural networks. Instead of we passing an electrical signal, we pass something called weights, the numbers basically. So, and again, when we talk about neural networks, we need to talk about something called cortical columns, right? So, nowadays we work on a lot of computer vision based activities. I mean, working based on visuals, right? So, anything that you want to predict in the particular picture, in a given picture, do I have a picture of a cat, picture of an apple, blah blah blah, right? How do you think that works, right? So, let's understand how our human eye works in a first hand. So let's say when it comes to human eye, so we have something called cortical columns. So cortical columns also have some neurons. Basically, those are comes as a columns basically. So there are a lot of mini columns, and there are around, let's say, 100 neurons per mini column. They are stacked together, and you can able to see a lot of millions of 100 millions of mini columns, basically something like this. So you can see each and every information is processed parallelly over here in this cortical column. So if you consider something very related to this, we can talk about GPUs, graphical processing units on your computer, or maybe on a cloud instance. So GPUs exactly does that. Basically, it is used for doing some sort of a parallel computing, obviously. That's how it works. So humans are just utilizing the concept which is already there and replicating that to do the awesome job. So then we talk about deep neural network over here. So what is this deep neural network again? So it's a concept which is inspired from biology. This is how the deep neural network looks. It's a very simplest form as an example. The idea is very simple. We input our data here, right? So we input our data over here and we receive our output over here. So we have our input neuron, right? So an input neuron can be varying on your use case. Let's say I'm trying to predict what is my electricity bill. Maybe I need just, let's say, current and voltage, for example, two values or two features. Maybe I just input the two features. Then we have something called bias neuron, and then we have something called hidden layers, basically, which helps to process your data. And each and every neuron holds some kind of a number. Basically, you can call it as a weight. And then, oh sorry, so then you have final output layer, which is called softmax. What is this softmax? Basically, it's a final output layer which exactly provides results for you, right? So as a probability. So this is how the things work, as simple as that, right? So there are different varieties of neural networks that we can discuss, which is available in the world. One is called feed forward neural network. This is an example for feed forward neural network. And then we have something called CNN, convolutional neural network. What is this? What is this convolutional neural network? I mean, anything that you want to work on computer vision, like image classification, object detection, right? So you can use CNN over there. Otherwise, let's say I want to use something else, like you can go with RNNs, basically called as recurrent neural networks. So let's say in the use cases that is related to predicting a stock market, understanding the words in a sentence, right? Any, like if you have a tabular data that you want to work with, yeah, you can go with RNNs. Otherwise, we have LSTM, which stands for long short-term memory network, good for speech recognition use cases, which is again derived from RNN itself. Then we have something called GRU, otherwise gated recurrent units. There are different varieties of neural networks that we can talk about. So then we need to understand one thing called activation function, right? All the fancy words comes into the picture. Activation functions looks fancy, right? So what is this activation function? Basically, activation function is a concept. What is really happening inside this neuron? So what is really happening? So it's nothing but basically we do some mathematics calculations inside that particular neuron. So what is this activation function? As the name represents, it's a function f of x. So basically, if you input a data over here, let's say some inputs that we provide here, basically it does a f of x, basically it calculates it, and you get some output over here, and then you will be receiving your particular mathematical output. Then this output will be further fed into upcoming neuron in a network, right? So basically it sums up the incoming input, and then it provides the relevant output. Then you take it further to upcoming neuron in your networks. That's how it does, as simple as that. So then we will talk about something called how exactly your machine learns the data. So we talked about something called statistics, probability, data engineering, understanding a data, and then we discussed about neural network, all this stuff. But the way your machine learns the data, there are different ways. For example, one is called supervised learning technique. So this is how your machine actually expects the data. For example, what is this supervised learning? Let me try to explain it in a very simplest form here. So let's say we have a three different country coins here. We have Indian rupee, we have UAE rupee, then we have Liberty coin over here. So each and every coin has a unique weight. For example, 5 grams, 2 grams, and 4 grams. Okay. So what is this? Okay, let's try to split it in a way. The weight of a coin can be a feature, for example, and currency of a coin can be a label. So we have two things, feature and label. keep this in a mind, feature and a label. So let's say once you have trained your machine learning model, let's say if the coin weighs 5 grams, then the prediction says it's 1 rupee coin, for example, right? As simple as that. So whenever you have a data, both it represents, it has a features and labels. Labels is a, let's say, your targeted value. So then you can use supervised learning technique. There are a lot of supervised learning algorithms that you can able to use, right? Algorithms, again, are software packages that are available to do the job. So then we have something called unsupervised learning technique. So unsupervised learning technique is again learning with no label data. Oh my God, you don't have a target value, but you just have a features over there. But how do you find out? So basically we cluster this data into relevant groups, and what are the data point that you are trying to figure out? Let's say the data point that is that you're trying to figure out, which is near to any particular center of a cluster, that is the particular value. For example, let me try to put it in a simpler form. So let's take cricket as a good example. So we have a cricket where we have where we have two groups here. We have x-axis wickets, we have y-axis runs. So let's say based on total number of wickets, I can able to figure out who is that bowler, and similarly based on total number of runs, we can be able to figure out who is the batman. But there's no particular targeted value here, right? So, and then we have something called reinforcement learning technique. So what is this reinforcement learning technique in another hand? So let's say reinforcement learning technique is a technique that is used to teach a machine one thing based on rewards. Let's say if machine is learning something really good, okay, if machine is learning something really good, then we give a reward. Otherwise, let's say if machine is making some mistakes, then we give a negative feedback to that machine saying that you have made a mistake. Then it learns from that mistake. For example, let's say I have trained my machine. Okay, let's say I have trained my machine with a lot of different pet animals. Let's say I want to predict any picture. If it is related to a pet animal, it's going to predict, okay, it's a cat, it's a dog, something like that. So let's say I have trained all the different varieties of data, and I'm asking my machine to predict in a given picture, what do you have? So then my machine predicts it's a dog. Then I give a negative feedback because it's not a dog, it's actually a cat. So then with this negative feedback, it learns the data. And again, if I pass a picture of a cat, it says it's a cat. So yeah, that's how the things work, as simple as that. So this is how the three different varieties of learning techniques that are available. So based on the aspects, based on your data, if you have features and label, you need to decide, okay, let me go to supervised learning technique. Okay, if you have just a features but no targeted value, right? So then we can go with let's say unsupervised learning technique, right? So again, reinforcement learning technique. Okay, you basically you can find a lot of use cases in robotics, especially let's say in self-driving cars, all those stuff. And let's put up a conclusion on this, then we will jump into AWS over here. So we have artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning. Are these three things are different? Are they same? So the idea is very simple. Artificial intelligence, AI, what people used to call, is a final end product that you are seeing. Okay, let's say for example, you have Amazon Alexa, you might have Apple Siri. Those are the end products, which is a combination of ML and DL, machine learning and deep learning. So that means machine learning is actually a subset of AI. And again, if you see, deep learning is a subset of machine learning. So don't get confused. So those are integrated together to make a one final end product, right? So that's how the things work. And now, so we understand all these concepts. Obviously, without you understanding this concept, there is no AWS, obviously. So AWS comes into the picture in much more advanced level, so where you can do a lot of things, right? So let's try to understand what exactly AWS offers. So everyone understand what is AWS is. Amazon Web Services are the very famous cloud platform in the world. I mean, this data that we took it from Statistica, you can just Google Statistica on AWS, you'll get some more idea. So there are wide varieties of cloud platforms in the world. You know, AWS, Azure is there, Google Cloud is there, Alibaba, IBM. We can just keep on mentioning all these different kinds of cloud platforms. So if we see the leading cloud platform, we can try to understand. So 33% of our market is occupied by Amazon itself. They leads almost 180 billion in a market. So, and again, that means you have a more opportunities, more companies uses AWS, that is directly professional to the more job opportunities, right? So obviously every cloud platform has their individual customers who are serving in a different way, obviously. So, and here is this slide that I try to manage to put it. Even I want to try to put up a lot of companies. So, but what is this slide? But you might not able to recognize more into this. But the reality is, if you see, more than 1.5 million. So more than 1.5 million companies uses AWS for machine learning itself. Just imagine the scale. So the more companies uses AWS, that means the more opportunity for us, right? So it's directly proportional to the amount of job opportunities that is outside in the world. So it's awesome. So now let us have a discussion on what exactly AWS offers in terms of ML and AI over here. So this is the complete AWS ML stack, but I didn't include a lot of new services which has been released, but I have integrated majority of the core services over here. So I can able to separate into three types: AI services, artificial intelligence services, machine learning services, ML frameworks, and infrastructures. As I mentioned, what do you mean by AI, artificial intelligence? Those are end products that you can just opt inside and you can able to use it and come out with innovative products. So let's talk about AI services over here. So let us talk about something called Amazon Recognition. So Amazon Recognition, as the name represents, it's a tool. It's an AI service which is designed to do anything as part of computer vision. Anything that you want to do with a computer vision. Let's say you want to do face recognition, face moderation, detecting objects in it, maybe celebrity recognition. Otherwise, if you want to analyze a real-time streaming video, you can do it. So I'm going to provide a live demo on Amazon Recognition. Stay connected. As I mentioned, don't leave the meeting. If you're going to leave the meeting, you're going to lose the live demo and the free ebooks that you want to download. Okay, stay till the end of the webinar. It's going to be fun. Okay, let's say otherwise, if you're interested related to speech related use cases, right? Let's say transcribe, which is used for real-time speech recognition. I'm going to provide a demo on that. It's going to be fun. So then we have something called Amazon Poly. Let's say if you have a use case where you want to convert your text to audio, you can use speech recognition services. So then we have text related services. Let's say you have a lot of documents that you want to process. Let's say you have a physical document, you want to extract the data from it and you want to convert that into digital document. You can use something called Amazon Textract. So we have Amazon Translate, similar to Google Translate. Then we have something called Amazon Comprehend. So we have search related services, something called Amazon Kendra, which is for enterprises searching. And we talked about chatbots, right? So Amazon Lex is again a very powerful chatbot service which is used by many different customers in AWS. So I'm going to also show you a live demo on Amazon Lex, the chatbot that I built. It's going to be awesome. So then we have something called Amazon personalization, and we have something called Amazon forecasting. So if you remember, we're discussing about the use case for forecasting your electricity bills, right? I mean, what would be your electricity bill next 6 months? So literally without writing any programming. See, the idea is very simple. When you're using AI services, you don't want to write any much programming. Most of the AI services are programming free. You don't want to write any programming. You can just utilize a service. So I can simply bring in a data on Amazon forecast and you can able to make a forecasting on that, right? So then we have Amazon fraud detector, especially used for the use cases. Let's say if you are working with a bank, you want to do analysis on online transaction fraud, something like that. So you can able to use Amazon fraud detector. Otherwise, if you're a developer looking for AI services related to how to write a code efficiently, so you can do the things with Amazon Code Guru. And then AWS has something called Amazon Contact Lens that is related to, let's say, customer service. So yeah, and here comes the very important aspect. If you want to become an expert and if you want to do everything from a scratch, so let's say everything, building your machine learning environment, training your machine learning model, and deploying your machine learning model in a production ready environment. So you can use something called Amazon SageMaker, the very powerful tool in entire AWS. So if you are an expert, if you want to become specialist, this is where you need to focus on. So Amazon SageMaker is especially built for developers, data scientists like us, who can able to build your machine learning environment and train a machine learning model and deploy a machine learning model in a production ready environment. So SageMaker comes with SageMaker IDE, which integrated with multiple algorithms, notebooks. You can train your machine learning model and tune your machine learning model. You can attach a debuggers in that. And here comes the hosting a machine learning model in a production ready environment. And we talk about something called ML frameworks and infrastructures. See, the beauty is, so we have a lot of different kinds of open source ML frameworks which are available in the world. For example, TensorFlow, the world powerful algorithm, and we have MXNet, PyTorch, Gluon, or maybe Gluon CV, scikit-learning, Keras. I can keep on mentioning different frameworks that are available. So all these frameworks are supported in AWS. You can bring in these frameworks and you can train a machine learning model and deploy a machine learning model. So Amazon has its own deep learning AMIs, the dedicated servers, which is fully configured, which helps you a lot of headache in configuring a lot of packages. You can directly use the servers which are available there. So, and Amazon has got the high-end GPUs and CPUs that you can able to use inside. They have something called elastic inferences alternative for GPUs for inference. Then they have something called Inferentia and FPGA support too. So this is the package what AWS offers, and there's a lot into the picture again. So, and let's say we talk about one more very powerful storage service in AWS, that is something called Amazon S3, simple storage service platform. So why are we talking about S3 over here? What is this? Why it is connected to machine learning? So let's forget about the cloud. Let's say we go back to your PCs, go back to your own servers. So where do you put your data? Where do you put your data? So you put on a C drive, D drive that you have. But when it comes to cloud platform, there's no C drive or a D drive. You need to depend on some kind of a databases storage platforms, right? Amazon S3 is a very powerful low cost storage service in AWS, which is similar to Google Drive. We understand how Google Drive works, right? You can simply put any data in a Google Drive, maybe images, documents, pictures, blah, 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 anything, right? So Amazon S3 is similar to that. You can put any data inside it, maybe images, pictures, documents, anything. So Amazon S3 is a very powerful storage service where you can able to access in a web, and it's an infinite storage service. I mean, you can put infinite objects in it. It provides 99%, 99.99999% durability and 99.99% availability. I'm talking about, so your data is secure. There's no downtime in it and no corruption. There's no possibilities of corruption, corrupting your data, all this stuff. And let's say you're putting an object. Let's say you have an S3 bucket and you want to store a CSV file in it, a simple object. This CSV file can be up to size of 5 terabytes in size. I mean, one CSV file. Obviously, it's infinite. You can put up multiple objects, which is 5 terabytes in size. So S3 is have a high durability and low cost comparing to any different kinds of storage platform, and scalability. So it can auto scalable. I mean, it can scale up and scale down automatically. Let's say if you're bringing more data, it can able to adjust its compute resources accordingly. If you have less data, it can adjust again. Availability and security. So S3 provides by default AES 256-bit encryption standard, fully flexible and simple data transfer through web, right? So let's say basically S3 is called something like S3 bucket. So bucket is again a concept where you can dump any data inside. Let's say we create a S3 bucket. Let's say then we create a folder. A folder can be a key, and we put up an object in it. Let's say apple.jpg can be a version ID. So the bucket name can be images. And the beauty here is each and every object in this particular S3 bucket has a unique link that you can able to use to access the data from it. So, and obviously we talked about Amazon SageMaker already. SageMaker is a fully managed machine learning service. What do you mean by fully managed? I mean, there is no need of you to manage a service. There's no you need to manage a hardware. Everything manages AWS. You just come and write your code, create a model, deploy a machine learning model in a production ready environment. So you can use Amazon SageMaker to build, train, and machine learning models and deploy your machine learning models in a production ready environment. So the fully setup is ready. What you need to just do, write a code and deploy it on Amazon SageMaker. So a lot of tools attached along with that. So if you remember, before we starting this webinar, we discussed about the complete typical workflow of the entire SageMaker, how it works, right? So I mean, not exactly SageMaker. We discussed about typical workflow of any machine learning model, right? So Amazon SageMaker supports that complete typical workflow. Again, this is an example of workflow that I showed you over there. So let's say the step number one, what we do, we fetch a data, right? We get a data for our use case from internet, maybe from some public repository, or it may be your own business data, right? So once you have a data, then we start doing cleaning of your data. We remove all this garbage, abnormal, I mean, what do you mean by we remove this unnecessary data outliers, right, missing data, lot of things. And then we do preparation. So preparation can be a good example. Let's say your data comes as a CSV file and your machine learning algorithm expects some kind of a JSON document. Let's say we convert entire data that you have in a CSV file, we convert into JSON, for example, a simple example for data preparation. So once our data is prepared, then we take our machine, then we ask our machine to learn this data. So we train our machine. So then our machine is trained with, then we do something called evaluating your machine, otherwise evaluating your machine learning model. So this is where we test our machine learning model, and then it's going to produce your results. And if you're really satisfied with that results, so what you can do now, you can take that machine learning model to deploy that in a production ready environment. So we take a different server and we deploy it. And this is where your users comes into the picture. So this is where your users will interact with your deployed model based on, let's say, the front end that you have created. And again, your user will input a lot of data, right? In a production, your user will input a lot of data, millions of customers comes and interact with that. So we collect all this data, and again we take this data for, again, to retrain your machine learning model by again fetching, cleaning, preparation, again we retrain it. You can say this cycle continues. You might have a different versions of a model, you collect the data with your customer, again your machine learns the data from it, right? And again, SageMaker has an option to monitor your data and to identify if there is any drift in your machine learning model. I mean, if your machine learning model is not performing good, it can able to monitor and it can able to tell you. So this is how the entire SageMaker setup works actually. And so we have a different kinds of frameworks in the world that we can discuss. I mean, so for example, you can use TensorFlow, maybe PyTorch, MXNet, scikit-learning, or let's say there are a lot of built-in algorithms in AWS. There are more than 16 plus algorithms, which is AWS itself offers. Other than that, you can use a lot of different algorithms. And again, this is a very simple kind of a graph which explains about the trend in different kinds of algorithms in the world. So if you see, TensorFlow stands in a top. Obviously, TensorFlow is again a very famous algorithm which is used by many different use cases, a lot of corporates, and yeah, there are different varieties of algorithms that you can pick. Again, picking up on right algorithm depends on the use case that you want to work on. And now we will have a light on different varieties of jobs which are available for AWS when it comes to machine learning. So let's talk about the varieties of a job. So obviously, if we talk about the trend in a job market, it's bursting like anything else over here. If you see, the usually the trend started picking up. I mean, let's say somewhere around 2011, 2012, and the trend is keep on booming up. I mean, it's the let's say the concept is very simple, as I mentioned. So wherever you have an access to digital data, you have a use case for machine learning. You can make much better things. You can add much better value to your customers. That's why every industry has a use cases. That's why, like, you can see a lot of scope for machine learning engineers over here. And again, when it comes to machine learning or maybe AWS machine learning, there are wide varieties of jobs that are available. For example, companies can just hire you for training a machine learning model, especially where you can train a model on a SageMaker or something like that. Our company can able to hire you to do data engineering on AWS. There are a lot of data engineering tools in AWS that you can able to use to provide data in a much better format. So our companies are just looking for hiring who knows some AI services, for example. So let's say companies are really interested to hire if you have some experience on, let's say, recognition, for example, otherwise to know if you know how to build a chatbot services. So there are wide varieties of jobs, and those jobs are available in hundreds and thousands in various different cities. If you're talking about Mumbai, it may be UK, it may be Bangalore. And India itself, they have thousands of jobs right now available nearby city that you are sitting. So yeah, so that's how the opportunities work over here. It's not something, okay, so let's say AWS has many different things. I mean, starting from data engineering services, data analysis services, machine learning services, AI services, right? So you can learn everything and have a wide varieties of opportunity. It opens a gate in many different ways, right? Not just a SageMaker, it may be AI services, maybe data engineering services in AWS. So the wide varieties of jobs, thousands of jobs are available in as part of an AWS machine learning. Yeah. And let's put up a simple. Let's try to understand a simple data, then we will jump on to demos. Obviously, that's why we are waiting for a long time. So this data represents the annual salary, then average annual salary for any machine learning engineer. So the minimum, it starts from 500K. Just imagine. And the reality, if you don't know, machine learning jobs are the high paid jobs in the job market. Okay, those are the high paid jobs in the job market. It's a one Google search away. If this data is not convincing for you, you can just have a look. So, and let's say the average person, the average salary for any machine learning engineer starts from 1500K, and if you think the maximum, it's crazy, like 7000K. And with just respective to this particular corporates, and just imagine the amount of companies which are available, and way more opportunities in that. And what are we waiting for? So why don't we go ahead to AWS? Why don't I show you some few demos on AWS on AI? Why don't we have a taste of AI now? Okay, it's time to have a fun. So now let us go ahead to my AWS console. I hope you can able to see my screen. Give me a sec. Let me have quick water. Let me get ready. Okay. So let's say if you have an AWS account, otherwise if you don't have an AWS account, let me know. I can able to help you to create it one for you. So here, this is how AWS console usually looks. And and obviously, you can see there are a lot of AWS is not just for machine learning at the end of the day. It's for anything. Let's say, for example, let's imagine some kind of a grocery store. Let's say you have a grocery store. If you go to grocery store, you pick whatever you want, right? This is similar to that. AWS is something similar to grocery store. Let's say you want machine learning services, you can make machine learning services. Let's say you want some databases, storage services. You need some tools related to cybersecurity. You need some tools related to IoT, right? You can pick anything that you want over here. Okay, let's get started. The first thing that we are interested here to provide a demo on Amazon recognition. So let us get started. So if you see here, if I click services, if I scroll down, there's a lot of AWS services, but what we are interested is you can see Internet of Things. Just below Internet of Things, you can see machine learning services. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of machine learning and AI services here. So what we're interested here today is Amazon recognition. So what do you mean by Amazon recognition? We discussed already. Amazon recognition is a service that is related to computer vision, anything that you want to do in terms of images and videos, right? So the deep learning based visual analysis services. Okay, I hope everyone can able to see my screen, and let me try to provide a demo by hitting try demo. Okay, here comes our first machine learning AI based demo. And you can see the example is label detection. So label detection is an API where you can able to use to detect labels objects, or maybe like concepts, sceneries in your picture, for example. So you can see there is a random guy, okay, who's just skating in a road, and my machine has already made a predictions over here, and if I move my cursor near to that person, it predicts it's a person. Awesome, right? And let's say if I move my cursor near this cars, it predicts it's a car. And if I just move below this wheel, it predicts it's a wheel. Car, wheel, right? It's really accurate. And you can see this still predicts it's a skateboard. Okay, this makes sense, this is fun, but let me just provide you more fun. Here we have a results. If I hit show more, and you can see it tells there is a car 98.8 percentage. That's a confidence score. The machine is confidence 98.8 percentage times there's a car, there's an automobile, there's a vehicle, transportation. All these things represents there's a vehicles in that picture. And it says 98.3 percentage there is a person, human being, obviously makes sense, there is a person. Pedestrian, skateboard 94.3 percentage makes sense. Sports, road, wheel, machine, path. So these are the labels output. That means those are the relevant labels that that particular picture has. So urban, you can see downtown. What do you mean by this? This is a scenery. It can able to analyze a scenery of that picture. Town, again a scenery. Parking lot, right, makes sense. Sports car. So do you think there is a sports car in that picture? And again, you can see the confidence is 56 percentage. That means the machine itself wrong. So there's no sports car. We have a cars, but we don't see a sports car in that particular picture. right? So you can able to upload your own picture, you can able to give a try, and still like you can able to write a program for Amazon recognition. You can pre-train your your data sets on that. You can work on any different use case over here on Amazon recognition by using SDKs. So let me just provide a quick demo by uploading a picture from my laptop, right? After hitting upload, so here you can see I have a picture of okay, some workspace. You can see a lot of things are there. I mean, if I hit open, and here we go. So you can see once I uploading this picture, we have some few bounding boxes and we have some few results too. If I move my cursor, it says it's a monitor, it says computer keypad again, laptop and monitor. But you can see we didn't receive a lot of bounding boxes for other items, but completely okay. But we can able to see, if I hit show more, you can see it says furnitures 99.9%. Yes, there is a furniture, tables, computer keypad, hardwares. That makes sense. It's a lot of tiny hardwares here and there, right? Keyboard, computer hardware, computer electronics, desk, laptop, PC, monitor, display, screen, LCD. Makes sense, right? It's really awesome, right? So this is about label detection. So let me go ahead and let me provide one more demo that is on facial analysis. Okay, here we go. Facial analysis. So one more thing. So if you know, like we just discussed about, you might have a smartphone where you have a face unlocking system in it, right? So basically, which is used to unlock your phone. So this is again a face analysis concept. It's a similar kind of a algorithm which is running in your phone, basically to unlock your phone, basically, right? So here we have a beautiful woman. She is driving a car, and we have a predictions towards right side. It says looks like a face, 99.9%, appears to be female, 99.9%. Age range 25 to 30 years old. Check out the age range, folks. It's exactly makes sense. She's obviously from 25 to 35 years old. So not smiling, appears to be happy, wearing glasses, eyes are open. Yes, so we cannot predict whether the eyes are open or not, but considering the situation, makes sense. So does not have a mustache. Yes, she doesn't. Yeah, does not have a beard. Obviously, makes sense. So let me toggle a one more sample picture, which is here, and we have a three different faces. I can able to toggle between the faces here. So let me toggle to the face of a kid, and I just want to I want you guys to focus on her age. Check out the age range, folks. 6 to 14 years old. Makes sense. She's obviously 6 to 14 years old. Makes sense, right? And both her father and mother, obviously between 23 to 33 years old, right? So makes sense. This is about the facial analysis. Everything that I'm showing, you can able to do programmatically. You can build uh, beautiful application on top of it. So let me show you guys one more demo that is on celebrity recognition. So celebrity recognition is all about just predicting a celebrity. I mean, here we can see a Jeff Bezos, obviously the former CEO of an Amazon. So I can just upload a picture from my laptop. Let's see if I have any celebrity in my laptop. So we can have a quick look. I should have some. Yep. So we have obviously our honorable Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji. So once after I'm uploading a picture of a celebrity, you can see it says Narendra Modi. If I hit learn more, basically I hope it goes to Wiki data where you can learn more about him. So this is about uh, celebrity recognition, and so then I will go to face comparison. So, and I want to talk about one more aspect of Amazon recognition. So Amazon recognition is used by a lot of different companies, corporates, even governments. So I want to tell you something. So tell me yes if anyone is from joining from US. You can just say yes if you are from US. I will tell you why. If you're anyone is from US, you can just say yes in the chat window. Let me tell you why. Okay, so a lot of people's from US. Okay, the few people said yes. So let me tell you why. So Amazon recognition is used by US government basically. So what is US government is doing? So obviously they are using Amazon recognition to do wide varieties of activities based on let's say face comparison. So let me tell you a good example here. Let's say a terrorist, for example, who is roaming in a city in a different shape, but you want to do some matching face. basically this is an idea that you can able to see in movies, right? We watch a lot of Hollywood, Bollywood movies. When a terrorist is roaming in a city, they use some face comparison algorithm basically to find a person who is in a different shape, right? You can exactly use this algorithm to do it in a real time. So you can see we have a reference phase, a picture of a kid, and we have a same kid in a comparison phase, and we have a result towards right side. It says, okay, the woman in this reference phase, she is present in a comparison phase. The similarity is 99.9 percentage, and it also says the unsimilar phases too over here, right? So it's crazy, right? So I can able to toggle a picture of a kid, and still it can able to recognize it. So this particular woman, obviously she is there in a comparison phase towards the right side. You can see it also says the similarity 99.9 percentage. So makes really sense, right? So then let me just give a final demo on Amazon recognition. Then let us go to the next demo. Okay, so okay, text in image. What is this text in image? You can see this is a kind of an API. Basically it can able to recognize a text from that particular picture. You can see it says, okay, it's a Monday, but keep smiling. So you can see this particular algorithm can able to extract various different text elements towards the right side over here. So let me toggle a picture. So here we have a picture of a car, and in this picture, you can see there's a number plate which has been extracted over here, right? So you can see the various use cases come to the picture. You can try to build different things over here, right? You can able to automate the complete traffic system over here. Let's say you are connecting every traffic light in a city with Amazon recognition. Let's say you're doing complete automation. Any car which is not stopping in a traffic light, you're capturing a picture of that number plate, and you can able to find that person automatically, right? So it's crazy, right? So you can do much varieties of things like this over here. So, and I would like to show one more demo, and there is one more thing that I want to announce before we going for a Q&A. Okay, so let me just show you one more AI service, then we will go for that announcement. So we are talking about Amazon Transcribe. Okay, so Amazon Transcribe, as I'm talking about. So again, it's a speech recognition AI service which can able to recognize a speech. So it has a great use case. Basically, let's say you want to integrate Amazon recognition basically with video conferencing services, or maybe anything that you want to do or recognize a speech, right? So for example, let me just give a quick demo. So basically Amazon Transcribe is an automatic speech recognition service. So I can able to create a transcribe. So just watch what's happening. Okay, so here we go. Let me just start streaming. Okay, hello. Okay, I guess it started working if I'm not wrong. Okay, I guess here we go. So hello, hi everyone. This is Sarath Kumar from Positron Technologies. Today here I am to present on AWS Machine Learning, just to give an idea, a taste of artificial intelligence in AWS, right? So you can see everything that I talk, it is trying to convert that into a text, right? So this is a real-time speech recognition service on AWS. And even you can able to use Amazon Transcribe as an SDK. You can integrate with your application. So wherever you want to convert that into a speech, let's say you are building some kind of a live streaming service where you need a real-time subtitles on your live streaming service. Okay, here we go. Amazon Transcribe is a service that you want to use. So stop streaming. So this is how AWS work. This is a simple, I mean, this is a few AI services that I've given a demo for you. So there's a few demos that is coming on. So I will give a demo on Amazon chatbot and one more AI service if it is possible. Then we'll go for Q&A, obviously. Okay, so here we go. Here is a question for you, question for you folks. Okay, so I hope you are enjoying this session. I know this, right? So can you tell me, like, how many people are really want to put your hand, make your hands dirty, and do some hands-on exercises? Tell me how many people are looking for a hands-on session on this. Tell me yes or tell me anything if you're looking for a hands-on session. So let me tell you what I can able to do for you folks. Okay, I can see a lot of faces. I know, like, you guys are waiting for doing some hands-on on this, right? So let me tell you. Here we go. So before we talking about hands-on, let me tell you one more, the reality that we need to realize something else, right? So let's talk about the transformation of machine learning or artificial intelligence. Let's take a quick example over here, okay? So if you see early 2000s, I mean in 2009, 2008, you can see it may be any TV reporters, it may be any filmmaking company which carries a camera in a choppers like this, right? It's a very hard job. You can see the technology transformation just in 10 years, which is replaced with the drones, which can able to transform this industry completely. I mean, this particular growth just happened in a decade, right? In a 10 years, right? So just imagine that such transformation is happening right now. Whoever comes first gets the higher positions over here. I mean, gets the great taste of that one. So we have a surprise for you guys. We are actually conducting the complete 2 days hands-on workshop, as you said. Yes, yep, here we go. So we are conducting this 2 days hands-on workshop on 7th and 8th of May. That is obviously on Saturdays and Sundays. And this particular time zones, obviously, which is supported for students, working professionals, in case if you're coming from a college, professor, anyone. So let me tell you what is this hands-on workshop. That means in this 2 days workshop, so you're going to build a real-time project on AWS, and we're going to build, train, and deploy this machine learning model on a real-time production environment. That's how it works. So we will be doing a lot of hands-ons. I mean, there are 10 plus hands-on exercises waiting for you. And so one real-time project. What do you mean by real-time project? So we're going to use a TensorFlow as an algorithm. We're going to use a SageMaker to train a machine learning model, and we're going to deploy a machine learning model in a production-ready environment. Not just that, I'm talking about 10 plus hands-ons. We're going to talk about recognition. I showed you recognition, right? The demo on recognition. We're going to build a lot of projects on recognition. It's going to be really fun. So this session is going to be totally for 10 hours, which is consisting of theory and hands-on, obviously. Hands-on, hands-on, hands-on. That's it. And so how do we register for this particular workshop? Is there any registration fee? Is that a free workshop, something like that? No, it is not actually a free. It's actually a paid workshop. Obviously, we have a minimal fee in it because we have a team who is dedicating for you guys to deliver a value in that 2 days. And let me tell you, it's a worst pricing that we have put it inside. It's a very affordable price that we have. Check it out. I mean, anyone can able to afford this particular price. I mean, this is a price that you spend usually for your dinner with your friends, right? So we have a two kinds of ticket. One is an individual person. Let's say if you're trying to attend as an individual, which just costs 1,999. Otherwise, if you're coming with a group of 3 people, let's say you bring your friends, colleagues, you get 10% discount. So it's just 5,398 rupees. So, and let me tell you, I don't want to stop you guys just talking about the price. So this is not just a workshop. So this is not just a workshop. So let me tell you in the price in a USD in a few seconds. So this is not just a workshop. After completing a workshop, there is no Tata bye bye. I mean, we are trying to form a community. So every participant who is going to be part of this workshop, they will be added to our community. We give a lot of, I mean, we do complete support to it. Maybe sharing a lot of reads. You can able to attend a lot of webinars like this in our upcoming session after completing this workshop. So free ebooks, you will receive the complete recordings of that workshop. You can attend, you can watch it anytime. Community support. So we can able to provide a mentoring support in a general basis whenever you're trying to develop something on AWS and machine learning. So hands-on guide, similar to that. So when it comes to group ticket, you get 10% off. And if you want to check the pricing in USD, just $30. That's it, and you get all the benefits. And see, like this particular workshop literally cost 5,000 rupees, or maybe like $50. The amount of value that we are trying to bring you to your plate. And let me tell you one more thing. So you can see like we have more than 200 and 250 peoples in attending this webinar. It's not going to happen like that during a workshop. It is very limited to 25 peoples. You might ask why? Because it's an hands-on workshop. At the end of the day, I need to make sure you have completed all the projects that we are trying to do in this session. Okay, so this is what exactly we're going to do in this particular 2 days workshop. Don't miss this particular workshop. And if you really wonder why Citron Technologies, why do I attend this workshop? So we have a domain expertise on AWS, and we've been working on various different products. We are training the peoples for almost for a couple of years, and as a company, we do a lot of things. I mean, so like we have been incubated by PSG Step Coimbatore, and we are supported by Department of Science and Technology in India as a startups, and we've been awarded as a best startup award by presenting our ideas for FKCCI, and we have presented our ideas in a couple of international stadiums, and we are part of AWS Activate program too over there. So, and it's not a first time that we are doing this workshop. So we are doing this workshop for a lot of different times, and just check what exactly our participants really think about our workshop, basically, because we focus much on hands-on, and I will be your trainer during that workshop. So it's going to be more fun, and the way that I explain the things, and again, it's a very layman terms, it's a very simple explanations that we do. So check it out. So don't miss this session if you're really serious about learning things by doing hands-on. So let me share you the access links, how exactly you can able to register for this particular workshop. So I will share the link right now, so you can able to use this link to register for our workshop. So let me tell you how. So you can see, just check out your chat window. I have shared few links. Let me just explain what are the links for. So the first link is for registering for our workshop. So once you click on that particular link, you will be redirected to this particular page. So the first link is for registering for our upcoming workshop on 7th and 8th of May. And second link that you can check, that is for downloading our workshop curriculum. You can able to check the complete workshop curriculum. You will get a PDF. You can check it out in that. And let me also show you what we're going to do in that particular 2 days workshop. Okay, so in this PDF. Okay, so I will be opening a session for Q&A. Just give me a few seconds. Let me just complete it. So what exactly that we're going to do in this 2 days workshop? So this is what exactly we're going to do. So day number 1. So we're going to get started with introduction to ML and AI. Obviously, we're going to discuss about few basics. Then only we're going to get started. So about fundamentals of AI and ML, statistics and probability, obviously data engineering, all those stuff. And then we're going to start on introduction to AWS. We're going to have a complete tour on AWS. We're going to understand how to use AWS, what are the things that you need to remember, and introduction to AI platform, introduction to SageMaker, and few things that you need to seriously understand when you're using AWS. There is something called IAM. So for managing your permissions, policies, a lot of things, right? So then obviously Amazon recognition. And when it comes to Amazon recognition, we're going to build various projects starting from object and scene detection, image moderation, facial analysis, celebrity recognition, face comparison, maybe a text and image or video analysis. So everything which I mentioned here as an asterisk, you can see those are going to be hands-on. And we're going to dig deep into Amazon S3. We're going to understand the importance of S3, right? And different aspects of S3 and Amazon based AI services, artificial intelligence services. We're going to explore on Lex, Poly, Extract, and Transcribe. We're going to do some hands-on on your own PC. You're going to do whatever I am going to do on my PC, going to replicate on your PC. And the very important thing is Amazon SageMaker. That's a heart of our workshop. So we're going to get started with Amazon SageMaker by using TensorFlow as an algorithm. We're going to build a model, we're going to build an environment, train a model, and deploy a model in a production-ready environment. Okay, so this is what exactly what our workshop as. Don't miss this awesome workshop, which is going to be a complete hands-on on 7th and 8th of May, right? So I have shared the links, the first link in a chat window. So for registration of our workshop, the second link is for downloading a workshop curriculum. The third link, as we promised, where you can download the free ebooks for this particular session. And we have a final link. So if you guys want to be stay connected with us, and if you want to attend a lot of sessions like this, free sessions, if you want to get feeded with a lot of data, join our Telegram channel with the last link that I provided. And if you want to contact me for any reason, I have shared my contact details too over there, right? So, yep. So let me reshare the link if you need on a chat window once again. And remember, we just have an access to 25 seats only, not more than that. That's it. So now let me just provide you one more demo, and I will open a session for Q&A. Okay. So think about our workshop. Don't miss this awesome session. So now let me just provide you a demo on one more AI service, that is Amazon Lex, a chatbot service. So it's going to be fun. Let me just show you a demo on Amazon Lex, a chatbot service that we have built. As I mentioned, Amazon Lex, which is a complete chatbot service where you can build any customized chatbots on Amazon AWS. So if you remember Amazon Alexa, so Amazon Alexa is again a service. It's a device where you can able to interact with your voice. It can able to provide a response again as a voice. So where an Amazon Lex is actually derived from Amazon Alexa. So where you can build a chatbot and you can also interact with a chatbot with a voice, right? So here is a chatbot that I built for a flower shop. You can see when you're building a chatbot, you need to really understand the use case, the way customers interact with that, right? So here is a chatbot that I built for a flower shop. Let's say you are the person who is going for a purchasing some flowers, right? So let me just quickly provide a demo. So here is a chatbot, which is an Amazon Lex. I can able to interact with this Amazon Lex, both with a voice and a text. Okay. So let me just try to interact with this Amazon Lex with a voice first. Okay. I would like to buy some flowers.
What type of flowers would you like to order?
Isn't it awesome? You can see it is replaying me back with a voice. So when I say I would like to buy some flowers, it says what type of flowers would you like to order? Okay, let me just mention roses.
What day do you want the roses to be picked up?
Okay, you can see again the voice comes as a voice. So now let me just mention the date. Okay, let me mention 2022-04-18. That is tomorrow. Okay, you can see there's no voice now. It says what pick up roses at what time on tomorrow. So I can just say 9 a.m.
Our business hours are from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Can you specify a time during this range?
Okay, my bad. Okay, so 10 a.m. might work for me. So let me just say 10 a.m. So now you can see there's no voice again. Okay, your roses will be ready to picked up around 10 a.m. tomorrow. Will cost $25. This sounds okay. That's completely okay for me. Okay, so you can see this is how Amazon Lex works. You can able to build this Amazon Lex and you can able to integrate this Amazon Lex with your social medias on your own websites, right? So yeah, so it is completely customizable. So this is how Amazon Lex works. And now let me open a session for Q&A. And if you guys are still interested, let me provide one more demo later on that. Okay. So now let me just open a session for Q&A. If you have questions, you can just mention in the chat window. Otherwise, you can just unmute your mic. You can also just talk to me. No issues. Yep. So let me
Hi,
see if I
Sarath.
have.
Ruchika this side.
Hi. Yeah. So can you like give me a sec? I mean, whenever you are just talking, just mention your name and what exactly that you're doing. So then you can ask your question. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, myself Ruchika. I'm assistant professor at an engineering college. Actually, I
Awesome.
was searching for some cloud services for my institute as well.
Okay.
So, like for machine learning and AI for the students teaching and projects and all. So, how can you help me out in
Awesome.
that?
Sure. So we can able to do that. We have a separate proposals for the colleges. I guess you can able to reach out to me, so we can have a discussion on that. So I can able to share you my contact number again in the chat window. Otherwise, I have shared it over here in the text itself. Maybe you can
I
take a
have
screenshot.
copied it. Okay, then
Awesome.
I'll
So
talk to
you
you
can just
personally on this.
please, like, we can able to discuss on that. No issues with that. Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
So, yep. So a few people are asking, can I get this today's PPT? Yes, today's PPT, you will be receiving it. And along with that, you will be also receiving a recording. No worries on that. Okay, someone is asking whether the training time maybe outfit in Nigeria. I guess if I'm not wrong, it should match the various time zones that we have displayed over here. So maybe I can, I guess we had a few participants who attended from Nigeria too, I guess. So yeah, so maybe you can have a quick conversion of your time zone. Maybe you can just Google it. Let's say for example, IST to something like that, like a EST or maybe Nigerian time. So I guess you should be redirected to some website. I guess the World Time Buddy. I guess this is the one. So you can able to convert any kind of a time zone here, and you will get some idea. So yeah. So let me know if you guys have any more questions, so I can able to help you. Okay. So okay, so it's a good question. So the Praveen is asking a question: with this particular workshop slash course, do we need to pay any extra money for AWS? Especially, yes, let's say we are using AWS services. Is Praveen is asking, do we need to pay any money during this workshop for AWS? No, actually. So what we will be suggesting, anyone who is going to attend this workshop, will suggest them to create a free trial account of AWS. So once you create a AWS free trial account, you will get a 1 year free access to AWS with limited access. So we're going to consume only in that free trial. You are not going to get any bills on that one. You don't want to worry about that. So Ria asked a question, will we get recordings? Obviously, you'll get a recordings. So someone said Telegram channel is not open. I mean, so let me just share the link once again. It should be open. Please check. So let me just share the link once again. Okay. So what is the
Sir,
prerequisites for attending this?
one more question from my side.
Please go
Ruchika.
ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
please, Ruchika.
I am in the research. So, can we implement our own algorithms on this AWS, or the only predefined services are there, only those are usable?
Okay. That's a great question. So let me tell you one thing. Like we had a lot of professors who attended our workshops. So they come with the different requirements. So one is a workshop. We have a complete certification program too. So we have seen like professors taking complete certification program as part of their research. And the question that you asked, can I bring my own algorithms inside, or do I need to use only algorithms that is available in AWS? It's not like that. So you can bring your own algorithms. Let's say you have your own customized algorithm that you have built. You can able to use AWS SageMaker, especially there is something like you can put your a machine learning algorithm that you are trying to create on a Docker image, and you can bring it to SageMaker. Yes, it is literally possible, and I have seen few professors working on different technologies, especially on computer vision, on a research, who attend our workshops and trainings. Yeah, but yes, you can bring your own algorithms.
So, what kind of workshops can help me out in understanding this AWS?
So this upcoming workshop can able to help you, because whatever you are talking about is about a SageMaker, because SageMaker is the one service which can able to help you to understand, like let's say starting from how you can able to build, train, and deploy, and again how to bring your own algorithms inside. Okay, yeah. So obviously in this workshop we're going to understand how to use SageMaker to try and build and deploy basically.
Hello.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
good evening, sir. Sir, Hitesh Kag
Yeah,
here.
you can mention. Hi.
Yes. I have a question that if you are a professor, if you want to get an internship in the machine learning field, so we can have any chance in the Positron.
Okay. So basically, you're talking about. Okay.
Actually, we have basic knowledge of all the machine learning algorithms and all that, and we have worked on the Python. Like all the algorithms have been implemented in using sklearn.
Makes sense. Okay, but you said you
Yes.
are a professor, but can I able to get some internship with any companies, something like that, right? So obviously,
Yes.
so whether you are a student or a professor, let's say, what do we do in our community? I mean, once after completing a workshop, we make sure like we publish a lot of data in our groups. Again, that's part of our job opportunities that are available in our network, internship opportunities. As you're talking about a professor, let's say for example, it may be any companies who are going to hire you. I mean, if they're really okay with the time, because you are already a professor who is serving some colleges, and if they are really okay with the amount of time that you're going to offer them, and obviously anyone would be interested if you have some knowledge on Python or something like that, if you can able to contribute along with them, that will be completely okay, obviously. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have one more question. Lakshmi asked one more question. How do the beginners understand, make this workshop impact? Do we go to complicated write-ups on the workshop? Not exactly, Lakshmi. So because this workshop is going to be as simple as this webinar, so you don't have to worry. So each and every concept. So we're going to touch upon the basics. Then only we'll be getting started with a hands-on SageMaker, all those stuff. So it will be like with a small step and to the big step. So it's going to be very simple as that. So it is a perfect workshop for the beginners, and then comes again for the experts who want to know how to deploy a machine learning model. For them too, it works completely fine. Okay, so can you throw some light on robotics? Awesome. So that's good. So I guess Bharati asked a question. Can you show some lights on robotics? So let's say, obviously, robotics, for example. So there are few services, let's say, along with machine learning. So let's say you train a machine learning models on SageMaker. You want to connect that with robotics. So AWS has something called AWS RoboMaker. Again, let me repeat, AWS RoboMaker, which is a service which is specifically designed to work on robotics. So I hope they have an ROS, robotic operating system. You can able to use it. You can talk by using that. You can able to interact with multiple services in AWS, which can add a light basically as part of a machine learning. Okay, so we have one more question with Manoj. Okay, so hi Sharath. In this FAQ, the workshop PDF, the 5 opportunity for students. Okay, so that's good. So yeah, so Manoj just read the PDF. So especially for the students, especially, I mean, so we have a lot of projects that is going on as part of Citron Technologies. In case if any students are looking for an internship, yes, so they can apply for an internship at Citron Technologies. If you're really interested to work with us, and if your profile matches for that, yep, we can able to offer internship. It's a free internship. It's not something that we get a money for that. Yep. Okay, so okay,
And what would be the
Sampath
duration
asked
of
a
this
question.
internship, Sarath?
So internship of a duration of internship is wherein minimum of let's say 1 month to 2 months that we are looking for. The maximum we expect students at least to spend 2 months in an internship. Yeah.
So how,
So
yeah, as an institute, we can apply for it?
So as an institute, I mean, it's
Like if
okay.
I
So it's
want to go
nothing.
for the students of mine, so how we can apply?
Okay. Okay, students of mine. So basically, so we have a registration form. It's open for anyone. It's not. We didn't make specific to organization. So any students who are interested in that, they can fill in the form, and we can able to call them. Yeah.
Can
And
you please
otherwise, we
share
also
that
publish a.
form or link to that?
Yeah, sure. I will do share that. No issues. Yeah. Anyway, going to contact me. Yep. So I will do share. No issues.
Okay, okay,
Okay,
I'll talk
Sampath
to you.
has. Okay, good. So Sampath has another question. What is the most important difference between a Lex Poly and AWS Connect? All these services converts a text to speech, vice versa. Makes sense. Okay, Sampath has asked a question. So if you see, Lex is again makes sense. It can able to recognize a voice, right? So Lex can able to recognize a voice, and it can able to provide a response. So Lex is actually a combination of multiple things, right? So Poly is wherein actually a service which converts a text to audio, right? And so AWS Connect does a different job. So if you see, like, the idea is very simple over here. So the AI services are again as a AI. What is AI? So AI is again a final product. I mean, there is no, as a machine learning engineer, basically we don't train a model. I mean, we don't build a model and deploy it over there. So we utilize this AI service, and we can come up with the innovative ideas. So for example, let's say you are using Lex, you can able to also integrate Lex with other services like AWS Lambda to add-on services. Let's say Poly, as I am talking about, which can able to convert a text to audio. They are individual AI services meant for specific use cases. Okay, it's not that okay. Poly, like let's say Poly. Let me provide a demo if it is possible, and a Poly will get understand. So Amazon Lex is specifically built for chatbot, but let's say Poly, you want to convert any text to audio. For example, Poly can be used for marketing purposes. You want to convert a text to audio for your video, for example. You have a document, you want to digitize a document into voice or something like that, you can use Poly. Okay, so can anyone send a link for meeting? I mean, so if you're talking about our upcoming workshop link, let me reshare the link once again in the chat window. Please take a look. Okay, so what is the most important difference between? Okay, I guess I answered that. So let me know, folks, if you have any questions, I can able to answer you, folks. Okay,
Hello.
so
Good evening,
Rajiv
sir.
asked a question. Yes, good evening. Yes, please go ahead, mention your name and
Yes.
role, and you can
What if
ask a
someone
question.
is expertise in MATLAB?
Sorry?
Uh, uh, what if someone is expertise in MATLAB and I'm having the lot of course,
Mm-hmm.
machine learning and AI that is available
Okay.
in MATLAB? Yeah.
Okay, got it. Makes sense. Okay, so I
Yeah.
mean, so we're not talking anything as part of a MATLAB here. So we are talking about, let's say, for example, Amazon SageMaker. So it's all about, let's say, you pick up an algorithm, so we kind of a mathematical models, and you put up a data, clean a data, and train a machine learning models. I mean, I don't think so. Like where AWS has a support on MATLAB. So MATLAB has its own vertical, right? So I mean, yeah. So I mean, still, let's say if you're asking this question, something like this, okay, you have a knowledge on MATLAB. I mean, do you advise you to learn AWS? Will it work for me? Obviously, literally work. The concepts of mathematics at end of the day remain same. Whatever you have learned when it comes to a MATLAB, the tools that you might have used in MATLAB, the concept might will be similar. I mean, the grasping a knowledge on the way that things work in SageMaker, how you built a model, how you use logistic regression, linear regression tools, or maybe any other mathematical models that you like to bring with Python SDKs, the concepts looks similar. Yeah, but I don't think so. Like where you can use MATLAB. I mean, if you're asking MATLAB, can I use MATLAB on AWS to do the things? I don't think so. AWS has such kind of a provision. Okay, so let me go to the next question. Rajiv, the 2 days hands-on, is that enough to get placed in any corporate, or is there any training that you need to provide to complete a training on AI and ML? Okay, so this workshop can able to help you to get started with machine learning and especially AWS. Obviously, you'll get a knowledge on a SageMaker. So what exactly the way that we have structured this particular workshop in a such a way, so we give an idea how exactly the SageMaker works, how exactly, let's say, even for example, Netflix or maybe any corporate, let's say Accenture. I mean, a lot of companies, I can just mention a lot of names. So they use SageMaker for their production work. So we show the exact process step by step, how they train, how they build it, and how they deploy it in a production ready environment. The steps exactly stay same. Yes, we teach how exactly industries work. And if you ask a question, is that sufficient? Can I get the job once after completing the workshop? Yeah, there are a lot of things still you need to get started. But if you're asking a question, something like this, what is next? Okay, is that a workshop is a conclusion? What is next? So we are so the journey of my participants who are traveling with us, something like this. So once people who are completing this workshop, so and if you're seeing more light in it, obviously there you go, you can able to take a full-fledged certification program. So when it comes to cloud platforms like AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, blah, blah, blah. Everyone has their own certification programs. For example, AWS has, as part of machine learning, AWS Machine Learning Specialty Certification course. So wherein it is a 40 to 42 hours course. So where we're going to experiment starting from end to end, let's say starting from again from Python, SDKs, the libraries, to the advance of working on the high level algorithms in AWS. So, and not just SageMaker training a model and deploying it. So we're going to talk about multiple aspects that you need to become a specialist, because it's this that particular course is all about you becoming a specialist. So we're going to talk about different data engineering tools in AWS, data analysis tools in AWS, deep learning tools in AWS, AI services, and come SageMaker. So there are a lot of stacks that you need to learn. But we are trying to cover almost the same thing in a minor version in this workshop, which helps you to get started. Okay, so Rohit has a question, is there any books for mathematics for the beginners? So Rohit, stay connected with us, join our Telegram group. We share a lot of content to that you can able to download.
Hello.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So, okay. So go ahead. Like, I mean, I just got a noise. I just muted your mic, I guess. Please unmute your mic and you can just ask a question. Okay, so Lakshmi asked a question: how do beginners understand and make this workshop intact? Do we get a completion completion write up of this workshop? So in a many ways, obviously. So we're talking about so hands-on. So I will make sure at the end of the day everyone has done this hands-on. Obviously, like I can say 99% of participants who attend a workshop, they go with the complete projects that we have done hands-on. And yes, you will receive a recordings. And in more way, how can we get can we stay connected? Everyone who going to attend this workshop, they will be part of our community group, so we'll keep on mentoring you guys in a general aspect. So that's how you can stay connected and start going up. Okay, so someone asked a question. I'm a Java developer, has a 15 years of experience. Is that the right step to go forward to ML and AI? How this workshop will help you to transform into a new arena? Okay, so there's no doubt about it, because you said one more aspect. So you are already in a development. You are a programmer. You are a developer. You are already in a Java platform. I guess it's not difficult for you to start exploring AI and ML jobs, because I can see like most of amount of the working professionals who attend our workshops or maybe even our courses, so I can see a lot of them who is trying to transform their careers into ML and AI. That works, obviously. So obviously get started with our workshop. The workshop can be a best spot. So we have a beautiful journey. Okay, let's say
Hello.
you attended a workshop, you gain
Hello.
some knowledge. So then you can start planning of thinking about doing more hands-on by yourself, building some good portfolio on your LinkedIn, maybe on a GitHub repositories, building some good projects, and then you can start thinking about taking the course. Then you get some more idea. I guess it's not a real problem for you to get transformed on AI and ML. Yeah, please go ahead. Someone is trying to ask a question.
Okay. My name is Victor. I'm speaking from Nigeria.
Please
So
go
I
ahead.
have a fundamental knowledge of AWS fundamental. Can I start
Makes sense.
building
Okay.
from Can I start building from that stage to the stage of machine learning? And what do I really need to do before I can start the machine
Okay, so I guess okay, so it looks like your voice is
like
breaking. So I guess I understood your question. So you have some basic knowledge on AWS. I mean, you have some beginner level knowledge on AWS. Maybe let's say, okay, your voice is breaking. It's okay. I guess I looks like I got your question. So it looks like you have an knowledge on AWS already, probably like on a beginner level, how to use AWS, IAM, some databases, all this stuff. So I mean, can you get started with machine learning with that basics? I guess that basics is completely okay. I mean, so because here we're going to literally explore even more different services, because maybe you might have aware about S3 already, like as part of a storage services. And yes, you're going to explore new services, maybe AI, something that might be the new concept for you. I guess this is the best workshop because it's also suits for the beginners. Yeah. So, okay, someone asked a question. So, we'll be having a hands-on workshop announced on June 2022 or July. So, the way that we'll be doing, so this May, beginning of a May, we have this workshop, and the next after this workshop, we'll be having the certification program that I'm talking about. So then only again we'll be conducting a workshop actually. So yeah. Okay, looks like I have answered almost your questions. If anyone has any more question, please let me know. You can type it in the chat. Otherwise, you can unmute your mic. You can able to talk to us, and go ahead and register for your a complete hands-on workshop. So in case if you're looking for a hands-on workshop, having a taste of machine learning, building a real-time project. So I guess this can be the best workshop that you can get started. So the 10 plus hands-on exercises, recognition, I'm talking about S3, I'm talking about SageMaker with TensorFlow. So the real-time project with TensorFlow, which I'm talking about. So the price is very affordable. Again, the price amount that you use for a dinner with your friends. So it's not a big deal. Just go ahead and register for our workshop. And if you have any questions, queries, if you want to talk to me, so you can able to just talk to me with the WhatsApp, or maybe you can email us, so I can able to share those contacts once again in the chat window. So Om Prakash asked a question, where do we get an access to the links of this webinar? So, I mean, webinar recordings will be emailed probably by tomorrow. So you can able to watch it through that links. So Kiran asked a question, is this internship only for freshers from colleges? Um, yeah, I mean, again, it doesn't matter whether it's a freshers. Obviously, we welcome freshers inside. I mean, anyone who can able to dedicate a specific amount of a time, who can able to working with us. So yeah, that's how the internship can be decided. Okay, so I will spare a few more minutes in case if you have any questions, you can ask me, else we can sign off. Yep. Okay, so let me just in meantime, someone asked a question, so let me just try to provide one more demo on one more AI service. Okay, here we go. So I'm talking about Amazon Poly, so which is text to speech service. Let me just go to machine learning, Amazon Poly. So Amazon Poly, as I'm talking about, again, part of an NLP, which can able to convert the text to a speech. You can see this is the platform for Amazon Poly. There are two kinds of an algorithms that you can pick. One is natural and another is standard. So natural is something which feels like a real human voice, and standard might sounds like a robotic voice. And you can, if you pick standard, you can see you can pick different accents. If you want to pick English India, British India, right, different accents. So first let's go with natural.
I'm
And
I'm
natural
very
has very,
sorry to interrupt, but I have a question.
please go ahead.
Okay, so which AWS machine learning tool can I use for predicting outcomes?
For predicting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, looks like I didn't got it. I mean, so let's say
Okay, so
anything that
let me come again. Let me come again.
Yeah.
So I have a set of data, right? And I am looking at this data to see if a
Okay.
certain I can come up with a model, and then in retrospect data, and then use it to prospectively predict an event. Prospect. So I need to know if there is a machine learning algorithm in AWS that I'm able to use to run my data through and see if I'm able to predict a certain event or a pattern in my data.
Okay. So, I mean, okay, so let's say AWS has, like, there is like more than 25 plus algorithms which are dedicated. I mean, there is no, like, you can see, like, there's no specific algorithm that is meant for only for that particular use case. I mean, multiple use cases can be supported for multiple ways. For example, there is a algorithm, for example, it's called IP insight. Basically, that is something related to a networking. Let's say if you are working on a network data, let's say you have a lot of server logs, sorry, networking logs that is coming into the picture, anything that you want to find an anomaly, like anomaly on that particular data, so you can able to use this IP insight. So again, this IP insight can be used for multiple use cases as part of a networking. So as I'm talking about, the one algorithm can be so multiple use cases. So let's say you can get started with,
my data is not, sorry, so what if my data is not a network data? I'm looking at let's say data that has to do with infection, and then I am able to run this data and say after a while we can predict a certain infection in the data that we are been able to collect over time.
okay, so you can get started with TensorFlow. TensorFlow supports, it has various SDK, supports various mathematical models. You can get started with that, obviously. Yeah. I mean, it's
Thank
not
you.
specific. So there's no specific thing that you can, okay, this is the exact one. So it depends on completely on your business data. So TensorFlow supports various different uh, uh, use cases, very different mathematical models that you can pick inside. So that exactly works fine for you. Yeah.
Okay, TensorFlow. Thank you very much. I'll look it up.
Yep.
By
Yeah.
the way, my name
I mean,
is
so it
Julius, and
depends.
I'm calling
Yeah.
in from Nigeria.
Yep. So I will make sure, like, let's say, so you study about the relevant, let's say, for example, let's say if I want to do anything on a forecasting, let's say, for example, I'm talking about electricity bill forecasting, right? So let's say there is something called DPR forecasting in algorithm in AWS. So I can use that DPR forecasting, not just for forecasting electricity bills. I can use that same algorithm to forecast, let's say, my stock price, right? Anything on my related to business. Let's say I can able to forecast my sales, something like that. So you just need to go for the relevant terms. If you have a study on many different kinds of algorithms in AWS, so if you have a relevant use case that is similar to that, you obviously that works for you. Yep.
Or
Okay, so
what
we
is
have
the name of that algorithm that you mentioned for?
forecasting, deep AR forecast. Yeah.
Oh, deep AR forecasting.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so Ujjwal asked the questions. How can I confirm that I am the only one participant selected for the workshop if the limit is okay? So Ujjwal, okay, there is no selection process over here. I mean, let me just mention one more thing, folks. I mean, there is no last date for registration. Okay, so there is no last date because because a few people are, I guess, asking a question. So there's only 25 seats left. I mean, how do you know like I'm being selected for that? I mean, there's no selection. The registration is already open. I have shared the link. Anyone who registers first for the 25 seats, they're going to get an opportunity to attend this workshop. That's how it works. So, I mean, there's no selection. It's completely on your decision. Okay, so I'm about to show a demo. I mean, okay. So here, okay, let me pick a voice. Let me go to English US. I can select the particular person. Let me just go with the Kevin. And this text can be converted into audio right now. It says, hello, my name is Kevin. I will read any text that you type here. So let's listen to it.
Hello, my name is Kevin. I will read any text you type here.
Okay, so tell me one thing, like, does it sound like a robotic voice or does it sound like more like a human, right? So yeah, let me just change the voice. Let's see what else that we can do. Let me just go to English British. Brian, maybe let it listen.
Hi, my name is Brian. I will read any text you type here.
Makes sense. I mean, so you can see this sounds more like a human, and you can see any text that you can type here, this can be converted into an audio. If I go to standard, I can just change a few more options. Let me just go to English India. Maybe I can just go to Aditi, hit listen.
Hi, my name is Aditi. I can read any text you type here.
Yeah, so not much difference, but yes, there is some a robotic way of the voice that you can able to find. And Amazon Poly, let's say if you're telling what is a use case that you can work on Amazon Poly, let's say you have a beautiful blog website, so a lot of people visits your website and blog. So why do you let your participants, I mean your visitors, to read everything in the website? Why don't they listen, right? So great opportunity. I mean, Amazon Poly can convert every content in your website to audio. Otherwise, let's say you want to come up with your business use case right now. Let's say a simple use case, for example, there are a lot of bedtime stories that we hear, right, from the old books, right? Let's say you want to convert all this the old books, I mean the story books, into a digital audio book, right? So you can use Poly and integrated with, let's say, Amazon Text Track, which is again a document processing platform which can convert, extract all the text from it, and you can able to feed in that text to Amazon Poly. Poly can convert into audiobooks, right? So here we go. That's a use case. That's a business. So when are you going to conduct an internship program? I mean, so you can apply for internship anytime. So if you have, I mean, once after completing these workshops, the specific opportunity will be given for students too. Yeah. Okay, if AWS AI services offers several ML types of models to choose to solve a specific problem, will I need the help of Exotalk chosen the adequate model? Okay, I guess there's a bit confusion in this. So AI services are built services, ready to market services. So there is no job for you to build a model over there. I mean, you don't build. You don't build, you don't train a model, you don't deploy. So, but you can pre-train pre-train the existing AI on which is available on AWS. So let's say if you want to do build, train, and deploy, go with SageMaker. So Kiran asked a question: is this AWS service Poly or Lex free? Okay, so every AWS services, Kiran, which comes with few free trial. Okay, every AWS services. So yes, you have some free trial on Poly or Lex, but there is no AWS service which is completely free. Basically, cloud platforms are paid services, right? But you have a free trial that you can experiment. So do you have a workshop on June and July? Thank you. So we don't have a workshop on June and July. We have a course, a full-fledged certification course on June and July. Okay. So let me know if you guys have any more questions, I guess. So once again, so don't miss this opportunity on AWS Machine Learning Workshop. It's going to be more fun working for these 2 days, building a lot of projects. Again, a real-time project with 10 plus hands-on exercises. And what comes after that in our community is more fun. So get started and register for our complete 2 days hands-on workshop. If you have any questions, if you want to talk to me, just you can contact in this number, WhatsApp, or maybe call works. Anytime, I'm here to help you. I guess I will take just one more minute and we'll sign off. So I would like to thank everyone, all the participants staying till end. Obviously, like means I will just open up the session for Q&A for a long time. Obviously, it's completely up to you guys asking a lot of questions. So thanks for your patience and your time till now. I really appreciate. And if you guys have any more questions, contact us. Don't miss this workshop. And yep, so have a great day and have fun, right? The future is here. So thank you then. Enjoy your rest of your day. Yep, happy weekend. Bye, folks. We'll meet in our workshop.
Thank you so much.